microphone because I'm pretty adept now at yelling at people. Very quickly, well, one, I want to tell you that I have spent 27 months with this cancer thing, but I want you all to check I've not missed any work. I take my vacation. Most people go to the beach. I go to Baptist Hospital and they remove part of my lung, apparently. So, through the chemo and everything else, Judge Ohm has been just a godsend to help me out, and we would pay each other back and things like that. So, through that process, and I'm happy to report that I am healthy. My family is a little happy with that fact, too. You know, when you have cancer, you live basically from PET scan to PET scan, and that morning you're just scared. And then, of course, when the results come in, it's just such a relief. And I've learned so much in this process and how important, I mean, I knew my family was important, but I had no idea until, but this is going to be a happy talk, not a sad. I got real quick. I didn't get a chance to shake hands with this table. You all look like you were working very hard. I didn't get a chance to shake hands with this table. You all were eating, and I was afraid to put my hand down there. They're like it's bitter. So I want to shake before we leave. I've got to tell you this, though. Don't tell anybody. I'm from Yankee land. I, too, am a Yankee, or was. When I first went down here, I ran for election, and I got beat. And I'm sitting there at 5 o'clock in the morning after the election, and, you know, you just let, 50,000 people jump on your ego, and I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? Every morning I would get up in the mirror and I'd go, hi, y'all. How y'all doing? And I practice that every day. Hi, y'all. How y'all doing? Finally, it dawned on me. It's, hi, y'all. How y'all doing? How's your mom and them? And once I started asking about your mom and them, I started getting elected. Been elected every since. I am Judge David Switzer. If you don't know me by now, then I've really done a poor job over the years. But, with me today, though, is also Captain Mark Allen. Mark Allen is our new court administrator. He replaced Jason Lawrence. You all knew Jason, I'm sure. Mark was a captain of the Arkansas State Police, done everything. In fact, he grew up here, so many of you probably know him, but, with security detail with the state police for 17 different governors and all that. But we've got Mark working for us now. I'm going to give him a couple of minutes. You know how lawyers are. He gets just a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit about what we've got him working on. I know many of you, some of you are my neighbors, some of you, I gotta ask this. Do I look as old as Clay Herrmann? I knew him when he was a kid. And he's up here talking, I'm looking at him thinking, wait a minute. I know this guy when he was a kid. Is this possible? I'm obviously well preserved. You know what it is? I'm 27 years old. This is what this job will do to us.
Actually, you're transgenerational.
That's it. I've been trying to figure out what I was trans of. Sharon over here was there, 12, 15 years ago, whatever, saved my life. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So does my family. So I know many of you. If I don't, I'd like to know you before we leave. Real quick, I brought a visual aid. This was my docket for yesterday. I thought I'd bring it because you would not believe me if I told you this. Yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon. It is incredibly busy. When we tell people that we hear 60,000, or we have 60,000 cases run through the district court down there a year, they go, that number is hard to grasp until you see what it's like on a day in and day out basis. Well, in addition to that, part of what I came to talk to you about are not only the processing of the cases and doing the judge thing, but to talk to you about some of the things that we've done in district court, and specifically, too, to report back to you. I don't know how many of you remember when I came and talked to you when I first started the DWI court 5 years ago. Well, I'm back now to report my 5-year findings. That's actually, I think, what the doc asked me to come and speak to you, but I wanted to also leave some time for other innovations that, for example, video arraignment in district court. When I got down to district court, the first day down there, I pull into my parking spot, and next to me is the jail van, and there's a guy, blood everywhere. up to the window going, did you see that? Did you see? And I go, I didn't see anything. I'm walking. We bring the first load of prisoners down, and they're in there urinating in the call room, and they're making noise, and you know, I came from circuit court. I guess you all know I'm retired as a circuit judge. I went home, told my wife I'd like to retire, and she said, well, you all know that. She said, no, you're not going to retire. You'll drive me crazy. So I went for district judge. So I get down to district court, and they're making noise. They're acting. So I used to bring them in first in. I'd line them up, and I go, oh, look, you all know me, and I'm not going to put up with this. I will only make it worse. You know, if you're sentenced to ADC, I'll put my sentence on at the end of your ADC time. So everyone is going to be polite. Everyone is going to be quiet, be respectful. So I go home and I think, you know, this is a lot of work. We need to do something else. I took my laptop to work the next day. I got on Don't Tell Yahoo. I got on Yahoo Messenger and texted up to the jail, and we did video arraignment on Yahoo. And I thought, this works pretty good. We're not having to transport prisoners, which means there's no security risk. They're polite because they think they're being taped. And this is working out great. So, oh, and coincidentally, if we save $3.50 a day, 1 gallon of gas, over the course of what, the past 6-7 years, what does that work out to in tax savings? You're going to see I got an angle on almost everything. So we now, this morning, well, yesterday I did my first one from the new jail. This morning we did all of our first appearances by video arraignment from the new jail. Working out great. Now, we've got a few problems, little things like documents and stuff like that that we're still working on, but I'd be happy to visit with you about what we've done with that. I don't know, I guess you all knew that I've been pretty involved with the new jail. If you saw the newspaper Saturday, you saw that, you know, there's a courtroom out there. Be happy to talk with you about the work we did on the new courtroom, why it's there, how it's there, what we intend to do with it, so on and so forth. In addition to the video arraignments, then there's also a veterans treatment court. Be happy to talk with you about that. It's designed along the line of my DWI court. We went to a conference for DWI court. While I'm there, I realized there's a separate section going on for veterans treatment court. So I go to those classes and I think, Howard Hunter from Quapaw was there. We sat down, we started talking, I think, is there a need in Hot Springs? We come back, I look into the need, turns out there is a need. I contact the Veterans Administration. I can tell you this, the VA may not do a lot of things right, but one thing they do right, one of the things they do right is work with us on drug and alcohol for veterans. You know, I had Vietnam vets that had been in trouble, hundreds and hundreds. We did a horrible job with our returning Vietnam vets. It was terrible. We paid a price for it for years. So I decided it is not going to be that way for our vets now. So we've now established, and it's been going on for a while, I've got all kinds of statistics, a veterans treatment court. And the VA, every time we hold it, sends a veterans officer over here who makes sure that they've got their DD-214, who makes sure if they need this or that or whatever, we can get them that to hopefully keep them clean, dry, and sober. And I'm happy to report it is working out very well. Probation. When I got to district court, there was no probation. No probation officers. I assume you know it is cheaper to do probation than it is jail. That's why the state changed the law several years ago and increased the population on probation. They backed everything off from state to local. You all know what I'm talking about, right? Criminal Justice Reform Act. Well, that may be another topic for another day. But in any event, they put a lot more on the local. But we had no probation office. I figured out a way to not only have probation officers in district court, but are you ready? This is the good part. This is the part you're going to like. Because remember, I wrote a check to the government Monday too. I don't know how many of you had to write, June 15th at your quarterlies. In addition to what they take out of my paycheck, I've got to send them a check every quarter for taxes. So I'm cognizant of what this stuff is costing me and my family. Rather than, me buying a toy, because I have no toys. I was telling my wife, I have no toys. I'm sending the government money. Probation. I've figured out a way for the defendants to pay for probation. things like changing the schedule in district court to be able to process more cases quicker and not keep people in the courtroom as quickly. All right? And there's several others. So if you have any questions at the end, I'd be happy to talk with you about them. The bottom line is this. Judge Ohm and I have a commitment to not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same result. Because that is not working. We have 5% of the world's population and 25% of the world's prisoners. It is costing us a fortune. $68 a day to house one in the penitentiary. $38 a day to house one in our jail. So, you know, if you send, and listen, for what it's worth, it's not that I'm liberal or anything like that. I'm a pragmatist. I'm a realist. If you're doing something and it's costing you money and you're not getting anything from it, do something else and see if that works. And then if it does, keep doing it. If it doesn't, stop and do something else. So, that brings me back to my baby, which is the DWI court. When I got down to district court, I looked around and saw we were doing things and they were not changing. So I looked at DWI. Sometimes I wish I'd picked out something else, but I looked at DWI and I thought, you know, there's a better way to do this. And what we established then was the DWI court. Very briefly, what it is, those of you that didn't hear me the first go around, is there's a community group that meets on the third Friday of the month. We discuss DWI cases that I got. Now, normally it's hardcore drunk drivers. That's who we're after. Because we have, well, we have roughly, when I started, we were having roughly 950 DWIs in Garland County, Arkansas a year. 950 a year. Those are the ones we caught. Okay? So this group meets, we see who we think we can work with and modify their behavior, and it's kind of the old idea, who are we mad at and who are we afraid of? We as a society, those we're afraid of need to be locked away from the rest of us because we're afraid of them and we're afraid of what they do. Those that we're mad at, well, there may be alternatives for those. Maybe if we work on their behavior and we change that, we won't be mad at them any longer. I know it's a really simplistic way to look at it, but you understand the concept. All right, so this group meets, we go over the various DWI cases that I have. That's part of it. Another part of it is judicial review. Then I hold court and I review all of the cases in my DWI court. Are you complying? Are you staying clean, dry, and sober? Are you, if you're supposed to attend meetings, are you attending your meetings? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? One curious thing, and I'm going to get out of order a little bit, one curious thing that I found is that penalties work, but so do rewards. I, first time ever, had a defendant do everything they were supposed to do. I call them up and I stuck my hand up to shake their hand. You would have thought the Pope had just shook hands with us. It was the first time anyone in their life had ever acknowledged, anyone in power, had ever acknowledged that they had done something good and done something right. Well, after that, I would have women, 50-year-old women that would come up, they'd show me their chip, and they'd go, Judge, this is the first time I've been clean, dry, and sober since I was 9 years old. I told them one day that I was having a special guest. It actually was going to be my wife. My wife never comes to see me in court, but I thought she needs to come and see DWI court. So I told him, I said, listen, I really want some special stuff here. I said, can you get a job? Oh yeah, Judge, I can get a job. I go, can you get your GED? And, oh yeah, Judge, I can get my GED. So back comes that day, and they're dressed up. They come like with ties on and like they just came from church or something. Some of these people had never dressed up before, but they come dressed up and they get up there and they'll go, Judge, I got a job. I swear, my wife cried 3 times after the court. It was astounding. It really was. And it's very rewarding to see people who had the behavior, who are now modifying the behavior, who we're not going to have to deal with in the future and spend the money on in the future. All right, getting to the point. When we started, we had, 947 DWIs. The next year, there were 799, so it dropped a little. I'll get to it, Doc. I remember the question you asked me. No, he asked me a very good question. I'm going to, the next year, it jumped back up to 930. 930 DWIs. Here are the past 3 years. Total DWIs in Garland County. 635, 546, 471. It's been almost a half. Now, the doc asked a good question tonight. What parameters, what are your what's your margin of error? I'm saying to you, even if the margin of error is 500 difference, even if the margin of error is 50%, 50, that's 250 less than what we were having 5 years ago. That's almost one for every work day of the year, 250 less DWIs than we were having. What's important about that is this: if that one is the one that runs over your family, who now doesn't, we all win. Particularly you and your family win, but we all win. But 250 difference as a consequence of all of this. We are constantly, and I think Captain Allen's going to tell you a little bit about that, constantly looking for new and improved ways to work on the problem that we're dealing with. The good news that I bring to you today is that now I have a stick. For many years now, I've been having to deal with this with no stick. But they just built me a nice stick out on Crystal Hill Road. You don't have a choice now. You come to court. If you prefer to do jail than get rehab, that's fine with me. I got a place to put you. But I'll tell you what I'll do. You say clean, darn, and sober, you go through the program, I have no problems with you. Maybe you can stay out of the jail cell. It's like Christmas morning for me. I mean, I'm so excited I can barely contain myself. I lost my place. Thank you, Doc. I really did lose my place. You got a question?
While you're at it, you said that I asked you a question. What I remember the question I asked you was, with the drop in the numbers, how do we know it isn't that the deputies were not as aggressive towards DWI?
That's the margin of error issue. I remember that's exactly. All right, so let's assume the margin of error, the 50% that I'm willing to give, is because either one, the officers are not doing their job as effectively as they did before, or two, because there were programs before that allowed for overtime pay for DWI enforcement. So I'm saying even if you calculate that in, it's still, the numbers are remarkable how this works. We go to school every year on this. One of the things that we learned at school was that if the judge spends 3 minutes, because they've tracked this every way but loose, if the judge spends 3 minutes with a defendant, there's a 546% chance of success greater than if they don't. I mean, so they're basically tracking everything that we can track. What works, what doesn't work, and that's part of what Captain Allen's working on is what programs of ours do work and what don't. Now, I know you all have heard that we've had some issues in the past about faith-based, using faith-based. Well, my thought on that was if the government doesn't have or cannot provide a service, then you've got to find that service somewhere else. And if the only other place I can find it is faith-based, then what are my alternatives? To do nothing? That's not an alternative. So, yes, the judge and I do use faith-based programs. We never force, and I'll fair this out, we never force anyone to a faith-based. That actually is unconstitutional, and we'll not do that. But we give them that option. And just to be honest with you, if there is no other option, well, I always have that one option, the new one they're just building out there. And just to be honest with you, Captain now is tracking some of these programs so that if someone ever does come up to us and say, well, is this effective? Does it work? We want to be able, as a matter of science, to say, yes, this is working, and here's how we know. Here's statistics, here's the curriculum, and I know, Captain, I'm getting into your speech, but
That's his style.
yeah, it is. I just ramble on. No, I got to admit, I'm very excited about the DWI court and the corollaries. Veterans treatment, domestic violence, and I guess you all have seen in the newspaper where Judge Ohm and I, have been working on mental health. Mental health court we have a need for mental health court. It is a very difficult problem to tackle. I thought DWI was tough. Look, I'm not going to complain or anything, but it's tough to get mental health groups to even sit in the same room with each other, let alone, the first meeting we had on mental health court, one group got walked out. Who gets up and walks out when the judge goes out over a meeting? So that has turned out to be a real difficult thing to work on, but a lot of our people are treating their mental illness with either drugs or alcohol. And so the real underlying problem is that it's just like my veterans. They're treating the PTSD with drugs and alcohol. If we can get at the PTSD, we can solve the treatment, the drug and alcohol. And that's kind of the idea behind all these, what I like to call, not treatment courts, but accountability courts. Because there is still always underlying the responsibility that the defendant owes to us, society. When you go to court, I think a lot of people get the idea that courtroom down there is for the defendant. That is not my philosophy. That courtroom is ours. We're providing it for them, and we will provide them with safeguards. But the underlying philosophical basis of all that is that we, society, have a right to be free of other people's difficulties. And it's a matter of how you go into the court and what you look at when you get into court, and how you look at what you get into court. Let me do this. I want you to think about those other areas, because I'd love to talk to you about video arraignment. I'd love to talk to you about veterans treatment. If you have any question about DWI court, I kind of fancy myself a bit of an expert on that because I spend a lot of time thinking about it. Did you all know about my MSI? And the reason I call it my MSI, I was sitting on the couch one night watching a rerun of Days of Our Lives. And you guys laugh, but my family won't let me tell people that I actually got hooked on Days. My sister-in-law had breast cancer, and my daughter was up at the university. So they would watch Days of Our Lives. So I got started watching Days of Our Lives and just get on the phone at night and talk about Days of Our Lives. So I kind of got hooked on it, and so I may very well have been watching Days. But it dawned on me that we needed another type of treatment option, and I came up with minimum security incarceration. It was a residential treatment that was run by the Quapaw House, and basically what it was is you would get sentenced to jail. After you were in there for a while, and we believed that you were willing to work with us and stay clean, dry, and sober, we would move you out of the jail and into MSI. At MSI, there were treatment programs, AA, things like that. The defendant got to work out during the day. So they didn't lose their job, they didn't lose their house, they didn't lose their wife, their car. So the defendant was winning. They were getting their treatments, so the defendant was winning. It opened up other beds in the jail for me, so I was winning. And they paid their own way, rather than us paying for it. In the course of the years that we had MSI open, I'm going to tell you, it ended up drying on the vine, and there's a reason, but in the course that we did that, over the 5 years or so that we had it, we probably, in theory, saved about $1 million in jail expense. Now, we didn't really save that because I used those beds for somebody else. But it's a question of, do you want a DWI in jail, locked behind bars, sitting where they don't have to make their bed, they don't have to wash their dishes, they don't have to, or would you rather them at a treatment facility where they learn lifestyle changes? You got to get up. Everybody's got to be out of bed by 6 o'clock in the morning. If you don't get out of bed by 6 o'clock in the morning, you got a severe behavioral disorder. You've got to clean your plate when you use it. You've got to, when you get those changes in lifestyle, it helps to change that clean, dry, and sober. So, now the reason it dried on the vine, but it's coming back, is because when I didn't have a jail to threaten you with, why do it? If you knew you were going to get out of jail tomorrow morning, are you willing to work with me on any kind of treatment today? Did you go, I'll spend another night in jail. Why not? And then I'm done. I don't have to deal with you on 6 months of treatment. Well, that's what we were being faced with. So no prisoners would deal with this. Well, now I've got a real good bargaining tool. You can actually stay in jail, I don't care. Or you can go and do this and get the treatment. So I expect for Quapaw, we've been talking about it for a couple of years now, I think they're looking at taking a portion of the old jail and using it to restart MSI. I think that's about it. Kevin, did you want to say a couple words?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And when Kevin gets done, if y'all have any questions, you can probably tell, I really enjoy talking about this stuff, and I love thinking these problems through to see if we can come up with a solution. Because the guy that gets the right solution, the right mix between rehabilitation, retribution, restraint, and deterrence. The guy that gets the right formula of those four, and there are only those four, wins. And coincidentally, if I get that right formula, I could probably quit and sell that formula somewhere and make $1 million. So,
Speaking to y'all, they've been eating lunch. I wasn't counting on that. I was kind of just meeting you and having lunch, but I'll be glad to make a few comments. I thought the judge was the most intimidating person I've seen in a while. Now, if you put me between the judge and Dan explained what a close relationship we have with the city board members. He even calls them names. I hope it's their first name. So my remarks will be very brief, but I did enjoy our conversation with Dan and his history. I do want to read your book, please. My background, I was retired for 37 years in law enforcement. I was with the Garland County Sheriff's Office starting back in 78, 79, working narcotic, working undercover. Wasn't many folks doing it at the time. We worked one-on-one by ourselves, taking hand-to-hand buys. And things somewhat changed over the years because of the safety issue. I got hired with state police. I went to work undercover again in northeast Arkansas, from Searcy over to West Memphis, to Blytheville, Air Force Base, Blytheville over to Fulton, Salem County, and then back down to Searcy. I've worked at a racetrack. I've been a school teacher. I've been a student in junior high. I played a variety of roles over a 3 or 4 year period. I went from there into the executive protection section within the state police. I transferred out of narcotics. I had long hair here. I transferred out of narcotics to a different, totally transformation into executive protection, guarding the governor. I did Clinton for 10 years, Tucker for 2, Huckabee for 10. Did a lot of travel. Met a lot of people, a lot of different groups of folks from different backgrounds, from tornado victims to presidents to prime ministers. See, I had my eyes open. I went from executive protection into the special director's office of state police. I did special projects. I built the Troop K headquarters, along with some other buildings here with the state police. I took over special operations as assistant commander of the Highway Patrol Division, special operations, SWAT, CNT, aviation, and then took over Troop K the last couple of years, retiring in the 1st of April, when the judge had asked me what I considered to be working for him. It's been a very, very positive experience. But I said all that because I've got some background in a variety of different areas. But having that said, each one of you in here brings something to the table that I couldn't bring. It's your past, where you work, your family, how you were raised, your values. But everyone in here has some input, and that's what we'd like to hear. I'd like for you to come and visit the judge in court. You will see how things work and how fast-paced it can be. Come and sit in. It's an eye-opener. There's a lot of good folks, and I say I hear a car salesman make a comment. There's sometimes bad things happen to good folks, and you'll see it every day. And that's where the ones you really want to try to help and try to make their lives better. And then there's those who have never hadn't known anything any better. That's how they were raised. Their mom, their dad, their grandparents all have somewhat of a history of doing things not quite so ethically. I'll give you an example of some of the things that the judge is looking at. My responsibility, how can a fresh set of eyes, how can we maybe make things better for less? Are we getting our money's worth? Or just for simple things you're making our reports. Let's standardize them, where they're easy to use, more user-friendly. The security side of it is a big thing for me at the building itself and with the judges. So we're addressing some issues there. Again, I'm shotgunning here because there's going to be some things the judge will follow on. I know Dan may have a question or two. But the one thing just yesterday, we didn't have the lunch yesterday, the judge brought some folks in. It's called smarter sentencing. This is something the judge is evaluating right now. This was a pilot program back in Union County, Columbia County. It was based on 275 probationers. Out of that 275, after they graduated this program, only 9 ended up going to the penitentiary. Those probationers, 2 years prior to going to this program, they were making an average of $8,000. 2 years after this particular program, they were making an average between $31,000 and $32,000. This program is not simple to get into, and this is what the judge is evaluating now. The different levels of probation. This we should see be considered possibly at level 1, where they're entered into the program. It's a combination. They have to work and they have to go to school. They just not either or. They've got to do both. And the biggest factor is they have to be successful. There's a lot of times we put people in programs and they just sit and coast so they get their certificate and then they walk out and they're off probation. I'm not sure how our success rate is doing. As the judge alluded to a while ago, we're reevaluating, trying to evaluate, are we getting our money's worth, or the different treatment facilities or programs, when we send somebody there, what makes them a good candidate? And then once they get there, what's the goal? What makes them, when they graduate, they're a better person? What factors are we looking at? So we're trying to set up some guidelines on each one so you can see, if you have a question about a certain potter's clay or whoever it may be, what their schedule, what their training, what their values are, and then what's the end result? What's the goal? So the judge can make a valid decision on what punishment should end up fitting that particular sentence. Having that said, I know the judge has to be back on the bench at 1. He's a busy man, and if you want to field some questions, I'm sure that the judge will be.
Did I do a good hire or what?
All right.
Not bad.
As chairman, I get to ask the first question, and the important question everybody in this room wants to know is, you worked with the Clintons. What's Hillary really like?
I can still be
No, we get another big correct answer. I don't know if I told you I'd have to kill you.
Actually, each governor, in all fairness to everyone, each governor, whether it's Tucker or Clinton or Huckabee, they're all have the best of intentions going in. And how they accomplish their goal, they may go about it different ways, but I can tell you that they're sincere in their efforts. They were all good in my book. They were wonderful folks. I try to keep in touch with each.
She's almost as good a politician as I am.
No,
Well, ask about Hillary.
Listen, before I get to you, I promise you, I do. Judge and I are doing everything we can, we really are, I'm serious about this, to protect you and your family. It is not an easy decision sometimes to figure out who we're mad at and who we're friends, but we do that all day, every day, and a lot. Do we always get it right? Well, I'd like to think so, but, reality is what reality is. But we make a true honest effort at it. Are we doing everything we can to be as effective as we can in this system? I promise you we're doing that. We never stop looking for new and better ideas, new and better ways to do things. Little things like domestic violence. We didn't think about it. I contact this group in New York. They suggest one day that we put a victim in one courtroom, defendant in the other, and do a video link. Well, we started doing it. We found out that it really made a difference in how people acted. You put, beat you up, and then I make you sit next to him in the courtroom. That can be a real difficult. Yeah, that's not a good thing. And you're not going to be as apt to be, as truthful and so on and so forth. Do you have a question?
Yeah, going back to domestic violence, back in the 90s, when we had the task force and we had the domestic violence court, and it was certain days, certain docket just for that, and you brought in the various
it's good that you asked that. Yeah, the difference is, you remember then I was in circuit, and that was
Yeah.
on the civil side of the docket. Now we're on the criminal side of the docket in district court, so we really have a great deal of enforcement there about everything from, and I just like to group them all together as some kind of behavior modification. But underlying all that is my #1 mantra, and what the lawyers say is going to be engraved on my tombstone. I have a simple rule, and there are no exceptions. Contact, jail. I'm not going to listen to excuses. I was drunk, I was on drugs, I forgot we're in love, I'm insane, that's my baby's mama. I don't care. Contact, jail. So they all think that that's going to be on my tombstone. I was kind of hoping for something a little more. Contact, jail.
My wife's gonna be, I told you I was sick.
Anybody have any other questions? Because if not, we actually have to go back to court because we start up again at 1 o'clock.
People who don't pay child support get thrown in state prison. What's up with that? I mean, a nonviolent, 10 months.
You're right. All right. It is a crime not to pay your child support. And the reason I think that they did that, and of course I'm not a legislature, wouldn't want to be in the legislature, but the reason they did that I think is because some of the civil remedies for the payment of child support weren't working. And if this guy isn't supporting his kids, again, then all of them are. And that ain't fair. #1. #2, look, years ago, any of you read the newspaper around here, remember I had a friend at a dry cleaner, Dapper Dan, he's since passed. I was in there one day picking up my dry cleaning and I said, you know, I wish I could figure out something with child support if I could just get jobs. He said, I got jobs. He said, I'll come up to the jail and get them. I'll bring them out here. I'll pay them a fair wage. I'll withhold their child support, and I'll take them back to jail at night. And I go, to jail? That's a winner. So we started doing that. Well, I'm out one day giving a speech. No lie. I'm out one day giving a speech, and I'm telling them about this program. Somebody in the audience goes, well, how come you aren't finding jobs for people that don't violate the law? And I thought, no good deed goes unpunished. If there are no other questions, listen, thank you very much. Do come and watch court, and come to DWI court, drug court, domestic violence. It is an eye-opener. It's the best reality TV you can get a hold of.
Judge, thank you. I'm sure for everybody in this room, all of us are so frustrated watching government act stupidly, lack of common sense, just doing, as you said, the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. And it is just refreshing to hear that you're willing to think out of the box and use God-given common sense. So, thank you.
If we see you again, I can read that.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to shake your hands all now. How are you?
This part of it is free. It wouldn't cost us nothing.
Hey, all right.
Thank you very much.